Japan is one of the most incredible places you'll ever visit. But even smart travelers mess up here, and trust me, the locals notice. From train etiquette to restaurant rules to one small mistake that could get you politely kicked out of a shrine. These are 19 common tourist mistakes in Japan and how you can avoid all of them. Stick around, because number 5 is a mistake that most travel guides completely skip, but it can leave you looking really rude without realizing it. Let's go. This video is your no-fluff guide to what not to do in Japan, how to avoid embarrassment, and how to blend in like a respectful visitor. We'll keep it casual, honest, and super helpful, no judgment, just facts. Mistake number 1, talking loudly on trains. Japan's trains are like libraries on wheels. If you're chatting on speakerphone or laughing loudly, you will get stared down. Just put your phone on silent and keep convos low-key. Japanese people are generally reserved and try to maintain a peaceful atmosphere in public spaces, especially on trains where many people are commuting daily in often crowded conditions. Loud talking disrupts this calm environment and draws unwanted attention. Discussing personal or private matters loudly in public is considered disrespectful. Trains are public spaces where people expect to avoid disturbances. It is customary to keep phone calls and conversations to a minimum volume or avoid them altogether. Many trains have signs asking passengers to set their phones to silent and refrain from talking on the phone. If a call is urgent, it is usually taken quietly or off the train at the next stop. During rush hours, trains can be extremely crowded, and loud noises can increase passenger discomfort. Maintaining silence helps reduce stress in such cramped conditions. Talking loudly on trains in Japan breaks an unspoken social rule of maintaining a quiet, respectful environment for all passengers, making it a cultural faux pas and a mistake for visitors unfamiliar with local customs. Mistake number 2, wearing shoes indoors. Major no-no. Always check for a shoe rack when entering homes, ryokans, temples, and even some restaurants. Wearing shoes indoors in Japan is considered a mistake primarily due to deep-rooted cultural, practical, and historical reasons centered around cleanliness, respect, and preservation of the home environment. Outdoor shoes carry dirt, mud, and germs from the streets, which would soil the indoor floors, especially the delicate wooden floors and traditional tatami mats that are common in Japanese homes. Tatami mats are easily damaged and stained, so protecting them is crucial. Removing shoes is a sign of respect for the personal space of the home or establishment. It symbolizes leaving the outside world behind and entering a clean, sacred, or private area. The Genkan entrance area acts as a physical and spiritual boundary between outside and inside, helping people mentally transition from public to private life. This practice is deeply ingrained in Japanese society and extends beyond homes to many public and traditional places such as schools, temples, shrines, traditional inns, ryokan, and some restaurants. It is part of maintaining hygiene and showing respect in these spaces. Many Japanese buildings have wooden floors rather than carpets, and shoes can stain or damage these surfaces. Instead, indoor slippers or socks are worn to keep floors clean and comfortable. Wearing shoes indoors is seen as disrespectful and can cause social embarrassment. Visitors are expected to comply with this custom to avoid offending hosts or locals. In summary, wearing shoes indoors in Japan is a mistake because it violates a cultural norm that prioritizes cleanliness, respect for the home, and preservation of traditional flooring like tatami mats. This practice is so important that ignoring it can be seen as rude or disrespectful. Pro tip: wear clean socks. You'll thank me later. Mistake number 3, not having cash. Yes, Japan is high-tech, but also weirdly cash-reliant. Many small restaurants, shrines, and vending machines still don't take cards. Always carry at least 5,000 to 10,000 yen. Cash is accepted almost everywhere in Japan, including many small businesses, local shops, and rural areas where card payments or digital methods are often not accepted. Many restaurants and stores insist on cash payments during certain times or altogether avoid card transactions to avoid processing fees. Japan has a long-standing cultural preference for cash, partly due to a historical emphasis on saving rather than borrowing, distrust of banks after economic stagnation in the 1990s, and a societal value placed on tangible money as a symbol of earned labor. Cash is seen as a secure, physical store of value, especially given Japan's low crime rate and the safety of carrying cash. A large portion of Japan's population is elderly, many of whom grew up without digital payments and prefer cash due to familiarity, concerns about security, and difficulty using complex digital systems. Japan lacks a universal cashless payment system, with over 20 different cashless options creating complexity and confusion. This fragmentation slows digital adoption and keeps cash dominant. In some cases, such as buying train tickets in rural areas or smaller stations, cash is the only payment method accepted. Running out of cash can cause real inconvenience, especially when traveling outside major cities. While Japan is gradually moving toward a cashless society, with cash circulation declining recently, cash still plays a critical role in daily life. Not carrying cash can leave visitors or residents unable to complete transactions, especially outside urban centers or in smaller businesses. In summary, not having cash in Japan is a mistake because cash remains essential for many everyday transactions due to cultural preferences, widespread acceptance, infrastructure limitations, and demographic factors. Mistake number 4. Not slurping your noodles. You think slurping is rude? In Japan, it's how you show appreciation. So go ahead, make some noise at that ramen shop. Unlike in many Western cultures where slurping is rude, in Japan it signals to the chef and others that you are savoring the noodles. Japanese noodles like ramen, soba, and udon are served in hot broth. Slurping helps cool down the noodles by mixing air with them, preventing burns to the mouth and allowing you to eat the noodles safely and comfortably. The act of slurping draws air through the noodles into the mouth and up to the olfactory receptors, which enhances the aroma and overall taste of the noodles, unlocking their full flavor potential. Since Japanese noodles are eaten with chopsticks, which lack prongs to twirl noodles like forks, slurping is the easiest and most effective way to eat them without awkwardly sucking or licking the chopsticks, which is considered bad manners. Historically, slurping originated from eating noodles quickly at outdoor stalls during the Edo period, and it has become a cultural norm associated with enjoying noodles fully and respectfully. Therefore, not slurping your noodles in Japan can be seen as a mistake because it may signal a lack of appreciation, reduce the enjoyment of the dish, and go against the practical and cultural customs of eating noodles there. Slurping is more than just a sound. It is a respectful and delicious way to experience Japanese noodle cuisine. Mistake number 5. Giving tips. Giving tips in Japan is considered a mistake primarily because of deep-rooted cultural values that emphasize dignity, respect, and harmony. Offering a tip may unintentionally suggest that the worker is not paid enough or needs extra money, which can cause embarrassment or imply that their employer is not treating them fairly. Japanese culture highly values harmony and mutual respect. Tipping can introduce an unexpected element into the service interaction, disrupting this balance and potentially causing confusion. In Japan, providing excellent service is standard and a source of pride, not something done for extra financial reward. Tipping can be perceived as belittling or an assertion of social dominance, rather than friendly generosity. Unlike in countries where tipping is customary, Japan lacks a clear system for accepting tips. Staff often politely refuse tips and may even chase after customers to return the money, assuming it was left by mistake. While some exceptions exist, such as certain traditional inns ryokan, tipping is generally unnecessary and can be seen as disrespectful across Japan, including in luxury establishments where service charges are often included in the bill. In summary, tipping in Japan is a mistake because it conflicts with cultural norms that honor dignity, pride in work, and social harmony, making what might seem like a kind gesture in other countries potentially offensive or confusing in Japan. Mistake number 6. Standing on the wrong side of the escalator, left in Tokyo, right in Osaka. Standing on the wrong side of the escalator in Japan is considered a mistake because it disrupts a well-established regional etiquette that facilitates smooth pedestrian flow and respects local customs. Japan has a unique escalator etiquette where people stand on one side to allow others in a hurry to walk past on the other side. In Tokyo and most of eastern Japan, Kanto region, people stand on the left side and leave the right side clear for those who want to walk up or down the escalator. In the Kansai region, including Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara, the rule is reversed. People stand on the right side and leave the left side clear for walkers. This difference is deeply ingrained and tied to regional identity and history. For example, the practice in Osaka is said to have been influenced by British escalator customs adopted during the 1970 World Expo, while Tokyo's standing on the left side may have roots in older cultural habits, such as samurai walking customs. Standing on the wrong side can cause inconvenience and frustration for locals who expect the escalator to function efficiently, especially during rush hours and crowded stations. It can mark you as a tourist unfamiliar with local customs, potentially drawing disapproving looks or subtle social pressure. Following the correct side helps maintain order, safety, and respect for the local culture. If you are unsure which side to stand on, the best practice is to observe and follow the locals around you to avoid making this common but avoidable mistake. Mistake number 7. Eating while walking in public. Eating while walking in public in Japan is generally considered a social faux pas because it is seen as disrespectful to the food and to others around you. This practice, known as tabaruki, Japanese society places a high value on cleanliness in public spaces. Eating while walking increases the risk of littering, such as dropping food wrappers or crumbs, which is strongly frowned upon. Even biodegradable food scraps are considered litter if left in public places. Eating while walking is viewed as distracting and potentially disruptive. It may cause one to bump into others or spill food, which is seen as inconsiderate in a collectivist culture that emphasizes harmony and respect for others. Eating is regarded as an activity to be done mindfully, often while sitting down. Eating while walking can be perceived as rushing through the experience and not showing proper respect for the food. While not strictly illegal, walking and eating is uncommon and often avoided by Japanese people themselves. Instead, they tend to eat while standing still near vending machines or convenience stores, or sit on benches or designated eating areas. There are exceptions, such as during festivals, in certain tourist areas, or theme parks where eating while walking is more accepted or even encouraged. Also, eating on long-distance trains like the Shinkansen is acceptable, but not on local trains or buses. In summary, eating while walking in Japan is considered a mistake because it violates cultural expectations of cleanliness, respect, and social harmony. Visitors are encouraged to find a place to sit or stand still while eating to align with local etiquette and show respect for the food and people around them. Mistake number 8. Not separating trash properly. Not separating trash properly in Japan is a mistake because waste sorting is a legal requirement and a deeply ingrained community responsibility that ensures efficient recycling, reduces waste, and maintains public cleanliness. Failure to comply can lead to serious consequences such as refusal of garbage collection, warning stickers on improperly sorted bags, and even public shaming where offenders' names are published online. Japan's waste disposal system is highly detailed and varies by municipality, often requiring separation into multiple categories such as burnable, non-burnable, recyclable, and oversized waste. For example, in some cities, burnable items must be further separated into subcategories, and specific bags must be used on designated collection days. This meticulous sorting helps reduce the total amount of waste significantly. Yokohama City saw a 30% decrease after implementing strict sorting rules. Improper sorting is considered disrespectful to the community because trash disposal is treated as a collective effort to protect the environment and public hygiene. It also prevents issues such as attracting animals or causing odors, especially with food waste. Given Japan's limited land space and strong environmental policies, improper trash separation undermines recycling efforts and increases landfill waste. In summary, not separating trash properly in Japan is a mistake because it violates legal rules, disrupts community harmony, impedes recycling efforts, and can lead to social and administrative penalties. Mistake number 9. Touching food in markets without buying. Touching food in markets without buying in Japan is considered a mistake primarily due to cultural etiquette and respect for others' property. In Japanese culture, there is a strong emphasis on manners, respect, and harmony. Handling food items without the intention to purchase can be seen as disrespectful and impolite because it may imply a lack of appreciation for the vendor's effort and the value of the food. This behavior could also be interpreted as causing inconvenience or potential contamination, which is frowned upon in Japan's careful and respectful approach to food handling and presentation. Moreover, Japanese etiquette generally discourages unnecessary contact with food before purchase, as food presentation is regarded as an art form and part of the overall dining experience. Touching food without buying can disrupt this presentation and may be viewed as careless or rude. In summary, the mistake lies in breaching the cultural norms of respect and cleanliness around food, which are deeply ingrained in Japanese society. It is best to avoid touching food in markets unless you intend to buy it, thereby showing proper respect to the sellers and the food itself. Mistake number 10. Not saying itadakimasu before eating. Not saying itadakimasu before eating in Japan is considered a mistake because this phrase is a fundamental part of Japanese dining etiquette that expresses gratitude and respect for the food and everyone involved in its preparation. It is more than just a polite custom. It reflects a deep cultural and spiritual appreciation rooted in Buddhism, where all living things and efforts are honored equally. Specifically, itadakimasu literally means "I humbly receive," and is said to acknowledge the natural elements, farmers, fishermen, cooks, and even the lives of animals and plants that made the meal possible. It is a moment of mindfulness and respect, showing thanks not only for the food itself, but for the interconnectedness of all beings involved in bringing it to the table. Failing to say itadakimasu can be seen as a lack of appreciation or disrespect toward this cultural value and the effort behind the meal. It is comparable to saying grace in some Western cultures or saying bon appetit in French, but with a stronger emphasis on humility and gratitude. Not saying itadakimasu before eating in Japan is a mistake because it omits a key expression of respect and gratitude that is deeply embedded in Japanese culture and dining etiquette. Mistake number 11. Pointing with your finger. Use your whole hand instead. Pointing with your finger in Japan is considered a mistake because it is seen as rude, aggressive, and accusatory. Unlike in many Western cultures where pointing might simply indicate direction or draw attention, in Japanese culture, pointing at a person is associated with explicitly calling them out for wrongdoing or expressing dissatisfaction. It is often perceived as a sign of anger or frustration and can escalate confrontations or be interpreted as an invitation for aggression or violence. Pointing with the index finger at someone is viewed as a direct and explicit accusation or expression of anger. Repeated pointing while speaking to someone signals extreme frustration or dissatisfaction. This gesture is socially inappropriate and offensive because Japanese society values politeness and avoiding public offense. In contrast, when indicating something, it is more polite to gesture with an open hand, palm facing upwards, rather than using the index finger alone. Therefore, visitors to Japan are advised to avoid pointing with their finger at people and instead use the whole hand to indicate objects or directions to show respect and avoid misunderstandings. Mistake number 12. Entering hot springs without washing first. Entering hot springs, onsen, in Japan without washing first is considered a mistake because cleanliness is a fundamental part of onsen etiquette and respect for other bathers. The onsen water is communal and meant for soaking and relaxation, not for washing. Therefore, you must thoroughly wash and rinse your body outside the bath before entering to ensure the water remains clean and hygienic for everyone. Washing removes dirt, sweat, and oils from your skin, preventing contamination of the shared bath water. Japanese onsen culture highly values consideration and respect for others. Entering unwashed is seen as rude and unhygienic. Bathers use designated washing areas with stools, showers, soap, and shampoo to clean themselves before soaking. Washing inside the bath or bringing soap into the bath is prohibited. Clean skin allows you to enjoy the therapeutic and relaxing properties of the mineral-rich hot spring water without worrying about hygiene issues. In summary, washing before entering an onsen is a strict cultural and hygienic rule that preserves the purity of the bath, ensures a pleasant experience for all, and honors the long-standing Japanese bathing traditions. Mistake number 13. Wearing swimsuits in onsen. Wearing swimsuits in an onsen in Japan is considered a mistake primarily because Japanese onsen culture requires bathers to be completely naked when entering the bathing area. This tradition is rooted in the communal and cleansing nature of the experience, where everyone bathes together without clothes to maintain cleanliness and respect for others. Onsen water is meant to be pure and clean. Wearing swimsuits or any clothing can introduce dirt, detergents, or fibers into the water, which is considered unhygienic and disrespectful to other bathers. Bathing naked is a long-standing Japanese custom symbolizing purification and equality among bathers. Wearing swimsuits disrupts this cultural norm and can make others uncomfortable. The rules explicitly state no clothes, swimsuits, or towels are allowed in the bathing water. Only a small towel is permitted but must not enter the water itself. This etiquette is strictly observed in most onsen. While there are a few exceptions, such as some mixed-gender or tourist-friendly onsen that may allow swimsuits, these are rare and clearly indicated. Most onsen expect visitors to follow the traditional naked bathing practice. Wearing swimsuits in an onsen is a mistake because it violates the strict hygiene standards, cultural customs, and etiquette that define the authentic Japanese onsen experience. Visitors are encouraged to embrace the tradition of bathing naked to fully enjoy and respect this unique aspect of Japanese culture. Mistake number 14. Blocking paths when taking photos. Blocking paths when taking photos in Japan is considered a mistake primarily because it disrupts the flow of pedestrian traffic and causes inconvenience to others. Japanese society places a strong emphasis on public order, respect, and consideration for others, especially in crowded tourist spots and urban areas. Blocking roads or pathways can cause congestion and safety hazards, especially in busy areas like temples, shrines, and popular sightseeing spots. Standing in one place for too long or spreading out in large groups can impede others' movement and create discomfort. It is seen as poor etiquette and disrespectful behavior. Japanese people value neatness and orderly conduct, so blocking paths or public spaces while taking photos can be viewed as rude or inconsiderate. Local authorities and residents actively discourage such behavior. For example, in Kyoto's Gion district, photography on private roads is forbidden to prevent nuisance behaviors, such as blocking streets to take photos of geisha or maiko. Blocking paths can lead to stricter regulations or barriers. In some places, authorities have installed physical barriers or banned photography to prevent tourists from obstructing public spaces or trespassing, as seen with the installation of a mesh barrier blocking a famous Mount Fuji photo spot to deter badly behaved tourists. Blocking paths when taking photos in Japan is a mistake because it disrupts public order, inconveniences others, and can lead to negative consequences both socially and legally. Visitors are encouraged to be mindful of their surroundings, avoid standing in one place for too long, and respect local customs and signage to maintain harmony and respect in public spaces. Mistake number 15. Not learning basic Japanese phrases. You don't need to be fluent. Just knowing konnichiwa, hello, arigato, thank you, and sumimasen, excuse me, goes a long way. The effort earns instant respect. Knowing basic phrases allows you to engage more deeply with Japanese culture. Even simple greetings or polite expressions are highly appreciated by locals and can lead to warmer, more meaningful interactions. This helps you feel like a participant in the culture rather than just an observer. Basic Japanese phrases such as konnichiwa, hello, arigato, thank you, and onegaishimasu, please, make everyday tasks like ordering food, asking for directions, or shopping much easier and less stressful. Japanese culture places great importance on politeness, and using these phrases signals respect and goodwill, improving your overall experience. Japan's unique customs and language nuances can cause confusion for visitors. Learning basic phrases helps reduce misunderstandings, allowing you to communicate more clearly and respectfully. For example, Knowing when and how to use certain expressions prevents common mistakes that could otherwise embarrass or frustrate both parties. In emergencies, basic Japanese knowledge can be crucial. It helps you understand instructions, ask for help, or explain your situation, which is vital in a country where emergency announcements and communication are often only in Japanese. Many smaller shops, markets, or rural areas have limited English speakers. Basic Japanese enables you to shop, ask questions, and explore more comfortably, giving you access to authentic local experiences that might otherwise be inaccessible. Learning and using even a few phrases boosts your confidence, making your travel more enjoyable and less intimidating. It also shows respect for the local culture, which is often reciprocated with friendliness and assistance. Not learning basic Japanese phrases can make your trip more difficult, less safe, and less rewarding. Even a small effort to learn the language opens doors to richer cultural experiences, smoother communication, and greater personal satisfaction while in Japan. Mistake number 16. Taking photos in sacred places. Taking photos in sacred places in Japan is considered a mistake primarily because these sites are not just tourist attractions, but important places of worship deeply revered by Japanese people. Many temples and shrines prohibit photographing figures of deities, Buddha statues, and main altars because these are sacred objects meant for worship, not display. Some areas within shrines and temples are explicitly off-limits to photography, often indicated by signs. This includes interiors and certain precincts, where photography could interfere with religious rituals or disturb other visitors. While Japan does not have a blanket law banning photography in public, privacy laws protect individuals, and unauthorized photos, especially those shared online or used commercially, can lead to legal issues. This extends to respecting the privacy of shrine staff, priests, and worshippers. Photography that disrupts rituals, uses intrusive equipment, tripods, selfie sticks, or involves inappropriate behavior, such as wearing revealing costumes or cosplay in sacred precincts, is prohibited to maintain the dignity and solemnity of the place. Taking photos during events like weddings held at shrines is considered disrespectful. Visitors are expected to maintain distance and avoid interrupting ceremonies. In essence, taking photos in sacred places without permission can be seen as disrespectful, intrusive, and legally problematic. Visitors are encouraged to observe posted rules, ask permission when appropriate, and prioritize respect over souvenir photography. Mistake number 17. Blowing your nose in public in Japan is considered a social faux pas and rude behavior for several reasons rooted in hygiene, social etiquette, and cultural norms. Many Japanese people view blowing the nose in public as spreading germs and unhygienic. They prefer to avoid doing it where others can see or hear to prevent discomfort or disgust among bystanders. Instead, people tend to sniffle or quietly dab their nose with a tissue until they can find a private place to blow their nose. Blowing your nose loudly or openly in public is seen as drawing unwanted attention to oneself, which goes against the cultural preference for modesty and not disturbing others. It is often considered a public nuisance similar to loud talking or sneezing. Due to limited public trash bins, partly for security reasons, disposing of used tissues immediately is difficult. Carrying used tissues around is considered unpleasant, which discourages nose blowing in public. Blowing your nose openly is sometimes likened to other bodily functions that are private, such as loud flatulence, reinforcing the idea that it should be done discreetly or in private. Japanese people often sniff rather than blow their nose in public and will excuse themselves to a restroom or private area if they need to clear their nose properly. Quietly dabbing the nose with a tissue is more acceptable than loud blowing. Blowing your nose in public in Japan is seen as rude and disgusting because it is associated with poor hygiene, draws unwanted attention, and is culturally considered a private bodily act. Visitors are advised to find a private place if they need to blow their nose and to be discreet about it to respect Japanese social norms. Mistake number 18. Smoking outside randomly. Smoking outside randomly in Japan is considered a mistake primarily because it is illegal in many areas and socially frowned upon. Local governments have bylaws banning smoking on busy public streets, and there are designated smoking areas where smoking is allowed. Many municipalities prohibit smoking on the streets except in designated smoking zones. Offenders can be fined, for example, up to 20,000 yen in some areas like Tokyo's Kyoto ward. Smoking while walking or randomly on the street is seen as discourteous and disrespectful to others. The Japanese public generally disapproves of this behavior, which can cause discomfort to non-smokers and create a negative impression. Public spaces in Japan can be crowded, and holding a lit cigarette while walking poses risks such as accidentally burning others or causing injuries to children and people in wheelchairs due to falling ash or cigarette contact at eye level. Improper smoking outdoors contributes to littering and pollution, which Japan is actively trying to reduce as part of broader environmental efforts. Although indoor smoking bans have increased, outdoor smoking areas are limited and often crowded, leading some smokers to smoke illegally on the streets. However, this is still against the law and social norms. In summary, smoking outside randomly in Japan is a mistake because it violates strict local regulations, risks fines, disrespects social norms, endangers others, and contributes to pollution. Smokers are expected to use designated smoking areas to avoid these issues. Mistake number 19. Staring or filming people without consent. Japan recognizes portrait rights, which protect individuals from having their image used without consent. Even in public spaces, if someone's face is clearly visible in a photo or video, publishing or sharing it without permission can lead to legal issues. Japanese culture highly values respect, privacy, trust, and social harmony. Taking photos or filming people without asking can cause discomfort and is seen as causing maiwaku, trouble, or nuisance to others. Many Japanese people prefer to stay under the radar and avoid being the focus of attention, especially from strangers. Since July 2023, Japan has enacted laws criminalizing the taking and distribution of sexually explicit images or videos without consent, including secret filming and photo voyeurism. Offenders can face imprisonment or fines. Taking photos of people without permission can be considered a civil offense if it causes harm, including mental distress. This is especially important if the images are used commercially without consent, which can lead to lawsuits and damages claims. Beyond legalities, it is considered polite and respectful to always ask for permission before photographing or filming individuals, particularly children. Ignoring this can be seen as rude and disrespectful. Staring at or filming people without consent in Japan risks violating privacy laws, offending cultural norms, and potentially incurring legal penalties, making it a serious mistake for visitors or residents alike. There you go, 19 mistakes you now won't make in Japan. Knowing this stuff makes you not just a smarter tourist, but a more respectful traveler. But hey, there's one more mistake most people make before even getting to Japan. And it happens during planning. It's a huge booking mistake that could cost you hundreds of dollars and hours of travel time. I'm breaking that down in my next video. Japan itinerary mistakes you need to avoid. So hit subscribe and turn on the bell, you won't want to miss it. Which one of these surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, I reply to all of them. And if this helped, give it a like, share it with someone going to Japan. And I'll see you in the next one.